When I first met her, I never thought she would become such an important part of my life. She had this smile, this energy, that made me believe she was genuine. We laughed together, shared secrets, and for a moment, I truly believed I had found someone who saw me for who I really was. But what I didn't know was that behind that smile, there was a mask. Behind her kind words, there was a game being played. And I was just another player. I gave her my trust, my time, my love. But to her, it was nothing. To her, I was just a way to fill her boredom, a temporary distraction, someone she could control, and then walk away from without a second thought. And that's when it hit me. She was playing with my feelings like a game, and I was losing. But let me take you back to the very beginning, to how it all started, because that's where the game truly began. When I first met her, I never thought she would become such an important part of my life. She had this smile, this energy, that made me believe she was genuine. We laughed together, shared secrets, and for a moment, I truly believed I had found someone who saw me for who I really was. But what I didn't know was that behind that smile, there was a mask. Behind her kind words, there was a game being played. And I was just another player. I gave her my trust, my time, my love, but to her, it was nothing. To her, I was just a way to fill her boredom, a temporary distraction, someone she could control, and then walk away from without a second thought. And that's when it hit me. She was playing with my feelings like a game, and I was losing. But let me take you back to the very beginning, to how it all started, because that's where the game truly began. I still remember the first time I saw her. It was one of those ordinary days that suddenly turn into a memory you'll never forget. She walked into the room with this effortless charm, a smile that could melt away the darkest of moods. And for some reason, in that very moment, I felt like she noticed me in a way nobody ever had before. At first, it was just small conversations, nothing serious. But those little talks grew into something deeper, late-night chats where time just disappeared. Hours felt like minutes. We shared dreams, secrets, and even silly jokes that only we could understand. She made me feel like I was the most important person in her world. She used to say things like, "You're different. You understand me better than anyone." And honestly, I believed her. I thought maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something real, something pure. I remember one night, we were talking about our future. She painted this picture of us traveling the world, building a life together. And I believed every word, because when someone looks at you with that much intensity, you can't help but believe, right? At that time, I thought I had found my soulmate, someone who would stand by me through everything. Tell me, have you ever felt that way? That sudden certainty that the person in front of you is meant to be your forever? Because that's exactly what I felt. But little did I know, that beautiful beginning was just the setup. A game I didn't even know I was playing. At first, everything felt like a dream, but slowly the cracks began to show. There were small lies I chose to ignore, excuses that didn't add up, promises that were easily broken. One day she would make me feel like the most important person in her world, and the next, she would act distant, almost like I didn't exist. She knew how much I cared, how much I loved her, but instead of valuing it, she treated my feelings like a toy, something to pick up when she was bored and drop when she was done. There were moments when she would say, "You're the only one who understands me," and my heart would melt. But soon after, she would disappear for hours, ignoring my calls and texts, leaving me wondering what I had done wrong. I should have seen the signs, but I didn't. Because when you love someone too deeply, you don't see the truth. You see only what you want to believe. I was blind, because I loved her too much. There comes a point in every story where the truth hits you harder than any lie ever could. For me, it was the day I realized she was never serious about me. Up until then, I was living in an illusion. I thought every smile was real, every word was honest, and every promise was a piece of our future together. But slowly, the cracks started to show. She would laugh about things that mattered deeply to me. For example, I remember one night I told her about my biggest dream, to build something meaningful in life, to work hard so I could give my future family a better life. I spoke with all my heart, and when I finished, she laughed. Not out of joy, not out of support, but as if it was silly of me to even believe in such things. She brushed it off with a smile and said, "You think too much. Just live in the moment." At first, I ignored it. I told myself maybe she was just joking. Maybe she didn't mean it that way. But deep inside, something felt wrong. Because when you love someone, their dreams matter to you. You protect their hopes. But with her, it felt like my dreams were just a joke she could laugh about. Then came the turning point. I will never forget that moment. One evening, I noticed her behavior change. She wasn't texting the same way. Her replies became cold, delayed, sometimes even careless. I asked her if something was wrong, and she said, "You're overthinking again." But the truth was, my heart could feel it. The distance, the emptiness, the disconnection. The final blow came when I discovered something I never thought I'd hear. Through a mutual friend, I found out she was still in touch with her ex. Not just in touch, but laughing with him, sharing things with him, things she had once shared with me. And worse, she admitted later, indirectly, that she was only with me to make him jealous. Can you imagine what that feels like? To give someone your time, your love, your loyalty, only to realize you were never the one? You were just a tool, a piece in her game. That day, I felt something break inside me. Not just my heart, but my spirit. I felt like a character in her story, controlled, used, and then discarded when she no longer needed me. Everything I thought was real, the late night talks, the promises, the "I'll always be here for you," it all turned into nothing but lies. And the worst part, she didn't even see it as wrong. To her, it was just fun, a way to pass time, a way to make her ex jealous. But for me, it was my life. It was my heart. I can still remember the silence of that night, sitting there, staring at the ceiling, asking myself, was I really that blind? Did I really mean nothing to her? The betrayal wasn't just about her actions. It was about how small she made me feel. Like all my love, my care, my efforts were worthless. And in that moment, I realized sometimes the people who make you feel the most special are the same ones who can break you in ways you never thought possible. You know, when everything finally sank in, the pain didn't just hurt, it changed me. At first, I felt weak, broken, and lost. But over time, I realized something powerful. Pain can either destroy you or rebuild you into someone stronger. I started to see that love isn't supposed to feel like a battlefield where one person wins and the other loses. Real love is about respect, honesty, and care. What she gave me wasn't love, it was a game. And I was the player she controlled until she got bored. But here's the truth. I deserved more. You deserve more. No one should ever have to beg for love or question if they're worthy of it. And if you're watching this right now and you've ever felt the same way, listen carefully. If someone treats your heart like a game controller, it's time to unplug. Don't waste your time trying to fix someone who only enjoys breaking you. I won't lie, moving on wasn't easy. The nights were long, the memories were sharp, and sometimes I wanted to go back just for the comfort of what felt familiar. But then I asked myself, why go back to a cage when I finally found the key? I chose healing. I chose to rebuild myself. I learned to love myself enough to walk away from people who couldn't value me. And trust me, once you start respecting yourself, life changes. You begin to attract people who see your worth, who don't play with your heart, but protect it. So here's the lesson I want to leave with you. Love isn't supposed to be a game. Your feelings are not toys, and your heart is not a playground. If someone makes you feel like a disposable piece in their story, remember, you are not a side character. You are the main character in your own life. And just like me, you'll realize the pain may have been the hardest chapter, but it wasn't the ending. It was the beginning of a stronger, wiser, and braver version of yourself. Because sometimes, being broken is the only way to discover how strong you truly are. Thank you for staying with me through my story. It wasn't easy to share, but sometimes speaking out is the first step toward healing. If you've ever been through something like this, if someone played with your heart, if someone treated your feelings like a joke, I want you to know you are not alone. Share your story in the comments below. Maybe your words will give strength to someone else who's still hurting. Maybe together, we can remind each other that pain doesn't define us, it refines us. And remember this one thing, she may have played with my feelings, but in the end, I won, because I learned to love myself. And no one can take that away. Take care of your heart, because it's not a game, it's your power.